now, and the timer is going.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Today, my topic is on the welding hose. Original, my mission is all the welding and the cutting about the steel erection. Anyway, I try to limit to that scope. But before this, I try to introduce some of the history of the steel work. Eddie just talking about the high rise. That's because the construction advanced. We use the steel so we can go much higher and higher and higher. But the steel need a connection, so used to be rivet. And then older style, but today we still have some of these things. And also the bolting, we still using that. The next one is the welding. Welding is a very, very complex one. You need a lot of knowledge or skill. Also, they pay the welder very good. I wonder how many of you guys do have the welding experience? Anybody? If not, I suggest, read a lot. They have a different welding method, different things. But for the OSHA, for the welding hose, we limited to a little bit the hazardous of the welding. And what will happen, if you didn't care the welding, the hose, or anything? It's a safety concern. And I remember maybe around 10 years in the Los Angeles, we have a hatch barrier, the Highway 15 bypass. And I believe there's a welder, he forgot to clean up or leave something hot over there. So all this frost work burned down. I think the same subcontractors I have on the Long Beach, San Pedro. But anyway, that costs money. Fortunately, I don't think anybody hurt. The worst thing for these things, somebody burned, somebody was hurt needed some kind of operation, maybe die. That's for the hard point. Then also the welding, we do need a lot of electrical things. So all these things consist for all the welding. But anyway, today I'm limited to this hose. But again, I will generally speaking on OSHA, we have a 1926 subchapter J, welding the curtain. Welding, they have a gas, arc, fire prevention, ventilation, all these things. You can really learn a lot of things, but I don't think you will be the expertise. For me, like my last welding is maybe 40 years ago in the school factory shop. After that, I left to the welding, but because the city requests for welding deputy, I just go to the exam. I'm very good on the exam. So anyway, I got a deputy license for the welding, but still I'm learning a lot. So anyway, today I'm limited to this hose on this subchapter 350E4, talking about the hose. There are so many different hoses, because the welding you need oxygen, and also you need a gas, sometimes a gas, acetal, and something argon. So they have a different hose. Because it's not only one hose, because also you have a manifold, you have those cylinder, so a lot of things to check. But since I limit to the hose, you will know just they have a certain way to tie together. I will not read all the detail, but if you can see, they have all these things. The last one is about the cable, because when you do the welding, most of the time you don't need those hot things, okay? It is electrical arc welding. But if you do the cutting, you do need some of the gas and to do it. Anyway, the last paragraph is the cable things. You have electrical connect to the welding machine. I think the good housekeeper is a must on this welding stuff. Because everybody know, if you strip by that, or if they leak, anything can happen on the job site. So that's one about this hose. And you can go to the online, you know all these argon gas hose. They have some kind of color code. They also have the fitting And it's a very technical part to check. But the good thing is all the welders, they do have a license and they are qualified for the people like us as inspector or OSHA guy, we just oversee the job safety, not only by the welding itself. We look in the job, maintain, and all these other things. If you go detail, you can see as an inspector, I don't think you have that much time. So we will have some kind of spot check to the most important things, The hose, this is another hose, you will see the green and the red one, from the oxygen tank all the way down. Those need a lot of attention to their maintain on those hoses. Also, the welder should be the first one. He should, looking around. For us over there, you can use your common sense to see anything over there need some attention for that. Oh, I think that will be, but anyway, in addition to that, I believe the welding is a very interesting section to describe everything. And if we limit to the hose, that we'll only see a small part of the whole thing. But anyway, that's the best I can get, and hope you get something from it. I'm a little bit short. I think only 7 minutes. But anyway, any other question for this? Please ask.
Is there any specific material that the hoses have to be made of? Any ratings, any standards?
Yeah, they have a very different grade. If you look into that, there's a whole industry. Okay, they call the wall. You have the thickness, you have the material, and the type. They have certain type. I'm not a very good memorizer, so all these quiz I have, I cannot answer very fast. Usually, I look at the books, look at the code to look for that. Yeah, they do have a lot of different grade. You can look just like even on your home, the gas pipe, you have different type, about the wall thickness, the material, all that.
Do they I've never seen like any type of inspection documentation. Is there like some requirement for certain hoses to be inspected or just looked at, or?
As a deputy inspector on welding, we just make a report, and I think that depends on our training, how far you go. I think everybody know once you got everything on the field, it really depends on your own character, how careful you are. It's our duty to follow the step, but there's no written requirement for how you do it. Most of the time is the guy do the welding is to heat the substrate, all these other things, also the electrode, all this power, those requirements. They never say something about the safety. They do need a hot permit. I believe another guy got hot permit. That one, you have to fire extinguisher around the job site. So that's all. And most of the welding maybe happen in the high rise. You need fall protection. For the welding itself, really, the machine, they have a pre-qualified sheet. You look on that. That's how they do the weld, how the joint needed to be welded, those kind of technical stuff. So I didn't mention in detail those very technical part. But for the general safety concern, that's all I can tell.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to call it 9:10.
Okay. Yeah, I just make 1 hour to make it. I tried to rehearse, but anyway, I think anyway I will try that.
Yeah, we're gonna that's fine. All right, Salvador first.
I think he did okay. Just little more preparation on the subject.
All right, Kevin.
Oh, I lost count of the us and the but anyways and things like that. I had a lot of those.
Yeah, that's a function of the language being second, English being second.
Right. I have an Asian wife and I'm very used to that. So
All right. Daniel,
Yeah, language barrier for me was a little bit of an issue. I appreciate the effort though.
all right, Jamal.
I enjoyed it. You know, a lot of information. Felt like the layout was good. You know, a few more reps probably be a little better, but for the most part, I think it was great. Take it.
Paul,
I think that his presentation came through. He had a lot of knowledge in it. Maybe to summarize it more rather than the full OSHA regulations, kind of summarize them out. But he gave his information and a little bit more practice, and I think he'd polish that thing up.
Eric R.
I don't know who Eric
Yeah.
Carr is.
All right,
Oh,
Eric C. Eric C.
history. Yeah, no worries. History. And then, like somebody else said, you have the whole standard on screen. If you're going to do that, throw in those highlights, maybe to find a keyword here or there, so our eyes focus to that specifically.
David.
Good information, lots of information. I would have liked to have heard more about the negligence in that LA, that photo that you show. Like, what was the whole story there?
Sal Martinez.
I think it was if you would add a little less information, like more to the point information on the PowerPoint instead of having like a whole bunch to read. It's too much to read. I think you can't really focus on what he's saying and at the same time read what's on the PowerPoint at the same time.
Roberto.
Great information, but little items to visualize. I only saw the hose and just the rest was up to my imagination, but he has a lot of knowledge. He could have you present the information maybe a little bit more concise.
Doug.
Yeah, just to kind of echo what everybody else is saying. For me, the knowledge is there. I think just maybe cleaning it up a little bit with more time. And then the formatting, you know, stuff not being centered, stuff like that. Just little stuff like that.
And John. You're muted. You're muted.
Pretty much everything else everybody said, Hung, you know, a little bit more, a lot more rehearsal would have helped. And then the attention gainer about the 15 freeway fire, that was good. But I mean, you kind of like went there and then kind of went out of it. So I don't really know how you were making it with the hoses of your presentation.
Ed?
Yeah, like what Eric Campbell said is, you know, when he hit on the first part of the history, a couple of the things in there like bolts and stuff like that I didn't know about. So I learned on that. And then for Hung's thing, just on his style, kind of like I have to do, we put too much stuff in our PowerPoints. Only bring them in a little bit at a time. Don't put the whole thing up there.
Eric Campbell.
You went out.
You already went.
I'll go. So yeah, same thing everybody else said. The only thing it was, you know, kind of more detail on the welding hoses and inspections and the connection and disconnect. But the presentation was, for the short time, was good. Just needed.
And Eric Campbell.
I already told you.
Oh, all right.
Less words on the screen, highlight text.
All right, very good. I lost track of who was going. All right, here.